gamers and my bitches that are out there. I'm gonna turn the game volume down so that you can hear what's going on here with this game. I am playing some Destiny 2. Destiny 2 released last week, Tuesday last, and I want to tell you some things about Destiny 2 that I just finished it last night, and the story mode was much improved, by the way, over the first game, with more cinemas and more thing like that. There's been so many massive improvements to the game. Yes, it still plays like Destiny. It still has the feel of the first game when it comes to its gameplay, but the new environments are there's much more verticality, a lot more in particles, a lot more environmental effects. It's a much better game. And there's some things that I think the reviewers have actually not really touched on. I'm going to go to my character, and I just want to do this really quick. I want to show you this. So this is my hand cannon. It's 200, it's green, it's 1 earth. And you know, I play Warlock. I love hand cannons. First of all, they've done kinetic weapons and energy weapons and power weapons. They've separated the three into those. One of the things I like about this, there are versions of energy weapons that are hand cannons now. There are power weapons that are hand cannons. You could literally, theoretically, use 3 hand cannons if you want, which I love. Right now, I've been favoring submachine guns and fusion rifles. On the power weapons side, I do like grenade launchers. But like the fusion weapons are pretty cool. I've just got this exotic level 17 rifle, and I like the fact now that the exotics are not just in-game stuff. You can find low-level exotics, high-level exotics. That's a new thing. One of the things I like about this, check this out. So high-caliber rounds, as you can see this. One of the things I like, and I'll show you even on the exotic, everything is automatically unlocked. You don't have to spend metal and all the other crap from the first game. They did away with that. It's automatically unlocked. It's maxed out. You don't have to worry about that. That is just brilliant. Thank you, Bungie, for doing that. I got so sick and tired of having to spend glamour and spend metal and use the weapon and take forever to max out. They did the same thing with armor. They got rid of armor perks. Armor is just that, restorative warlock. There's 3 stats for armor now. There is mobility, resilience, and recovery. And the warlocks are more about recovery. Again, streamlining the system. Thank you, Bungie, for doing that. Another thing I want to show you with your powers, I'm playing primarily Voidwalker, but you can actually have a healing rift. You see that? Healing rift. Your character can throw down a well and continuously heal people that's inside the well. That's brilliant. Allowing the Warlock to either be a DPS class, which mine is set up on Void is empowering with, which increases weapon damage, or a healing rift, and some of the punches and grenades and things you throw out actually heal. You're now a healer class, a support class, or a DPS class. That's, again, brilliant. Bungie tried to do the best to separate the 3 classes. That's always been a complaint with the first game, that the classes were not truly separate from each other. They felt too much the same. I used to complain about how the Hunter and the Warlock both had a teleport. I didn't make any sense. In most roleplay games, Warlocks or any kind of wizardry teleports a spell. Why does the Hunters have teleport? It's based on their cloaking technology. Those are totally 2 different things. I like the fact now they got rid of that feature on the Hunter. The Hunter cannot teleport. It's strictly a Warlock class. And you know me, I'm a big-time Warlock player. This is great. I love the fact they changed that. I've got my solar, I've got my arc. They've changed some stuff about it. It's great. Again, streamlining the process. They've even streamlined, and I'm going to show you here, when you go to this is one of the NPCs in the game. If you want to rep up, the best thing I like about this, and again, I just like the fact that I can sit here. You get these these coins, and you just rep them up. Like, you no longer have to like do 2,500 experience and do all these patrols and all this stuff to rep people up. Late in the game, later in the wall, which is right outside the tower. When you play through the game in story mode, you start at you escape the city and you're part of this farm. When you beat the game, instead of being at the farm, you're not at the tower, but you're at the wall next to it, and it kind of feels like home, and I love that. But they are going to be adding Future War Cult, and Dead Orbit and New Monarchy later, but for right now, some of these characters. But all you gotta do is spend these rewards. Like, you exchange them, you get, you rep them up, and as you see, I'm repping them up now. It's really cool the way they set up. It's just so much easier to rep. It's a much better streamlined economy. I love that aspect of Destiny. It's great. Another thing that I like is you can now, if you have a blue style armor or weapon, like for example, I can go here, I can shade it. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over the shaders, obviously, because the shaders have been this whole, you have to spin Glimmer to use them. They're a one-time use. I think the way they handled the shaders was wrong this time around. That's one of the missteps of the game. In the first game, shaders, you used them. You can use them indefinitely over and over again, make your character look different. They changed it around for this game. I wish they had not done that, but it is what it is. But as you can see here, if I switch between shaders, if I want something that looks cool, and a lot of the shaders looks really cool. So if I do this and apply it, it costs Glimmer. It's one-time use. You're done. You cannot shade it indifferently. That's the way it is. Even though, and I do like the fact that Glimmer is much more prominent, and it's good to save and keep your Glimmer. And I love the fact that the economy has been streamlined. They did a better job on it. They still shouldn't have done that with the shaders. Another misstep in the game is not from a story standpoint, but they really establish Ghaul, the main villain of the Red Legion from the Cabal, as this. He's never lost a battle, and we're talking centuries of war. He's badass at the beginning. You lose your light. This is spoiler alert. You lose your light. He beats the hell out of you, kicks you off of his thing, and doesn't feel like you deserve the light. He's trying to figure out why you all deserve it, and he doesn't, considering he's this badass outcast of a warrior that got, like, he was basically born a runt and thrown an outcast. Kind of very kind of like the story from the Spartans, the 300 storyline that Frank Miller wrote. It's very similar to that. And I feel like that they did this thing where you realize, and Ghaul has this weapon called the Almighty, and it drains suns and destroys solar systems. When they drain the sun completely, he's conquered worlds, he's destroyed solar systems, he's never failed, he's never been defeated. They really build him up as being this badass, like, holy shit character you're gonna fight, and this is the disappointment. So you die a lot in this game. This game is way harder than the first one. It's just a much more difficult game through either misadventure or vandals sniping the shit out of you, or these new wraith-like fallen that can, like, roll and attack and hit you. And I'm telling you, you go to fight Ghaul, and you're like, and Ghaul has figured out how to not become a guardian himself, but absorb the light. This is spoiler alert, guys. So he absorbs some of the light from the Traveler, and he changes from, like, solar to void to arc throughout the battle. But these little rifts are open that gives you your super maxed out, like, instantaneously. You just stand in it, and you're like, boom, and you can throw your super out. He's such a fucking pushover. Like, he's got lieutenants and soldiers that are way more powerful than he is, and you just literally whoop his ass so one-sidedly in the game, since the difficulty is set. And I was sitting there after I beat it. I was so happy to beat it and see the ending, because the story is so much more fleshed out. It's a much more interesting story. And to sit here and be like, well, wait a minute now, why, what, wait a minute, are you, why is, why is Gaul a pushover? Why is he this character that you can just so, I mean, it wasn't even hard. Like, getting to Gaul, I died 2 times. I get to Gaul, and it's like, and I fight him, and I'm excited for the fight, and then you realize, wow, this guy is just shit. I don't even want to play him. I don't even want to fight him. This is the dumbest thing ever. Like, he is such a pushover. He's supposed to be this bad mamma jamma, and he's just this crazy pushover. He is so easy to defeat, and so easy. I mean, like, I didn't even get below to where I had no shields. And that's kind of a spoiler, and I hate to admit that. Like, you can't build up, Bungie, you can't build up a villain. But this is what you've been doing for a while. Because if you think about it, like, when you fought Oryx was kind of a pushover. Not the raid Oryx, but the Oryx in the story mode was just a pushover. Like, what the fuck? And then you build up this Red Legion guy, and it's like, come on. Are you fucking serious? This is the best you got? Like, he basically I whooped his ass. I literally had him defeated in under 5 minutes. I was like, that's very lackluster. He should have been 10 times harder. He's supposed to be this amazing badass. Now, I get it. People complained in the first game how a lot of the strike bosses and stuff were essentially like these bullet sponges. But I'm just telling you, as you can see here with this Leviathan raid, game got a beta. I haven't got the milestone to actually do it, but I'm wondering if you're just fighting Gaul. And I think it would be stupid because the story mode, and again, I'm going to throw the spoiler out here. You defeat Gaul, he becomes this giant ethereal being, and then the Traveler's like, you know what, you're really nothing to me. And the Traveler comes to life again and just completely annihilates Gaul's etherealness and creates a new golden age. And that's what happens at the end. That's a spoiler, guys. Sorry about the spoiler. Beer in the throat. But you have this happening, and Gaul was just such a pushover. He was nothing. He was trash. Great villain. Great the fact they had cinematics with the villains this time. That was great to hear. Another third, and my only other disappointment in this entire game, and this is the truth, my only disappointment is your Guardian never speaks. It's only the ghost talking. He just kind of reacts with facial reactions. If you watch the in-game credits, though, there are the voice actor list. When you see the voice actor list, there is actually voice actors listed for awoken male, awoken female, human male, human female, and exo male and female. And you're like, well, wait a minute, they never talk. Why is there a voice list in the credits for characters that never speak? So it makes you wonder if they originally did have language and stuff where they talk. Because in Destiny 1, yes, your Guardian spoke here and there. It's very briefly. It's they meet the awoken queen, and a little bit with the speaker, and they talk a little bit. When you first meet the Exo Stranger and you talk with her, and she's like, I don't have time to explain. But in this game, they forego all of it. Your character never speaks, and yet there's a voice acting credit for it, which makes no sense. Did you all originally record vocals for that or not? And I don't know. I really don't know if that's what the case was with this. And no, the Exo Stranger does not show up in this game at all. So I think they've pretty much written that character off because I don't have time to explain. I don't have time to explain, which was retarded in the first game. And she has no bearing at all on this game, thank God, because she was never a fleshed out character. Didn't really work. One of the things I like is, too, you don't have to go to orbit pretty much, unless you want to. You can hold down the touchpad. It goes to the director. You can fast travel to places quickly. You don't have to go to orbit every time. Another thing I like is the ability, like I said, you can have a hand cannon here, a hand cannon on energy if you'd like. If you want to use two, you can have two auto rifles. You could have 3 snipers. They just did this great streamlining of the weapons. The weapons now are fully, you don't have to spend any kind of stupid currency to upgrade them. All that's been thrown away. The armor, the same way. You don't have to do anything. Look at my armor here. It's already where it needs to be. Like, look at this purple here. So, like, again, all it's doing is increasing one of the 3 stats. There's mobility, resilience, and recovery. That's what it's designed to do. You don't have to spend any money to upgrade or nothing. Destiny 2 basically plays like the first one. And in some ways, you might argue that the second one basically feels more like an expansion and not a sequel. I feel like it's a true sequel, but I feel like this is a culmination of 3.5 years of them going, you know what? We need to streamline this process. They streamline the economy. They streamline the way the weapons and all that work. They even bothered to put, and something I complained about nonstop was, unless you had exotic, like let's say hand cannons or auto rifle stuff, those were the only weapons that truly had a different sound for them. From legendary on down, every auto rifle sounded the same, every shotgun sounded the same. Not in this. Green hand cannons sound different than blue hand cannons. That sound different from purple hand cannons. That sound different from exotic. Sometimes shotguns have this bassy, thunderous boom. Sometimes they're high-pitched, like tinny, kind of mechanical sound. Some of them use the effects from the first game, but they sound, they just got a better sound quality to them. Destiny 2, you actually can fire your weapons and tell the difference in the way they sound. It's excellent to see that. And I complained about this in the first game, like, why can't the weapons sound different? And they did this. They fixed that. Multiple sound effects for same types of weapons. Excellent job. Not only that, they added SMGs. Here's an SMG I'm using, the Daystar SMG2 from Omelon. I love the SMGs in this game. They fire fast. They've got a very small impact, but they have very good handling and a decent range and stability and reload speed. Talks about rounds per minute. You actually see how many rounds it shoots per minute. I think that's a nice little addition to that. Again, you can still hide the menu and just look at the gun. How you can see it. You can still lock it from being able to be nerfed. I love the fact that they did this. You actually still have the same thing where you can change the way it works. This has tactical mag. It's already maxed out. It's already fixed. I don't have to spend any money to unlock it. I like that. Another thing I like, especially with exotics, as you can see here, this has got chamber compensator. They changed a lot of the way the perks work. Extended mag, impetus, reload immediately after a kill, increases weapon damage, fitted stock. But I like this. If you hit L2, you actually see the lore of the weapon. Before, you kind of had to guess at that, or you had to look it up in the Grimoire. No, this is already here. And it says, this gun is called the Merciless. Attribute is inevitable. The thought was simple enough. Sync a weapon firing and targeting systems to a caged onboard artificial intelligence program to actively seek fulfillment of the weapon-based driving function. Simply put, give the weapon an awareness of its purpose. If you read about the weapons in the armor, I love that aspect. I think it's good. You can ornament them, but you cannot change like the color with this stuff. And this is really great. Conserve momentum. Non-lethal hits with the projectile make this weapon charge faster until the wielder gets a kill. And again, this is it's great to see, like, where you still have like the little bitty words here, but on the exotics you actually get the lore behind them. That's very cool. You know, that's a very neat thing for them to add. And I love the fact that at first you started, when everything goes to hell, you start at the farm, but when you beat the game, you could no longer go to the farm. Now you're back at the wall with the Traveler, and the Traveler's alive and awake, and everyone has their light back. In the story, there's a much more emotional weight to it, especially talking to Ikora Rey, who basically ponders her existence now. She's died and been reborn, and died and reborn because she has light, and because the Traveler and you have the light, you're basically immortal. But this is the first time where you really feel some emotional weight, where they are not immortal, and they don't want to fight because they're scared, because for the longest time the Guardians have never been scared of dying, but now there is real weight and stake in the story, and the story is so much better, and I enjoyed the cutscenes, the story moments. It was really well done. I'm just disappointed in the fact that Gaul was a fucking quivering vag, totally easy to defeat. He was nobody and nothing. They built up through the story that he's never been defeated in hand-to-hand or one-on-one combat. He's never been defeated with the Red Legion. He's never failed. He's not only conquered worlds, but because he had the Almighty, he's destroyed solar systems. He's never ever lost any battle, no matter what. They build this enemy up, and you think, God, it's going to be, when I fight Gaul, it's going to be a hard battle. And it's not. It's just, that's the only one of the 3 disappointments I have in the game, and that's one of them. It's just like, he's such a pushover. I raped him on so many levels. I was like, wow. 3 minutes and 42 seconds later, he was dead. I was like, really? Really? You built him up to be this unstoppable thing, and he basically is the biggest fucking wet Kleenex, easy to defeat guy, and that really sucks. Now, I haven't done the raid. I don't know if the Leviathan raid, you actually fight Gaul. In the story sense, it doesn't make any sense, because he becomes this giant ethereal being, again, spoiler alert, and the Traveler says, fuck you, and kills him. He's dead for good. Not only his body, but his spirit is dead. So I don't know why you would have to fight him in the raid. That doesn't make any sense. I haven't bothered to go online and see what the Leviathan raid is, who you're fighting, or what's about. I'm really hoping it's not Gaul. That makes no sense. Because that just completely makes the story obsolete. Why would you? Gaul's dead, so I don't really understand what that's about. There's also new things they added from clans. You can go to clans if there's clans available. If you got any invites, if you can check your invites to see if any clans. This is nice too. There's also ways now to go to the raid and strikes and just generally help people out. I know that's kind of one of those things. I love the fact that they did include all these new zones, and the Adventures mode. This is another thing. I love the Adventures mode because it seems like they keep popping up. I'll beat a bunch of them, and then more pops up. These are basically side quests with their own stories, and again, kudos to do that, because that's what most MMOs do. That's what most roleplay games do. I give Destiny 2 is so much better of a game than the first one. That even though I played the first one for 3.5 years, there's no way. And you can see here, look, they changed the warping effects. It looks even better. There's no way I could ever go back and play the first game. The first game is shit compared to this game. The first game would feel so bare bones and so lifeless compared to the second game. I'm not saying this first game is bad. There was just so much they needed to do differently, and yes, they improved everything with the Taken King. No, there's no way I could go back after playing the second game here. No way I could go back and then play the first one, because the first one compared to this one, this is so superior of a game, so improved. It feels like Destiny 1 with its gunplay, which was always been solid, but it really just made all the difference in the world. guys, you know, playing Destiny 2 is really amazing, and totally worth your time and effort. If you played the first game in any way, shape, or form, you've got to play the second one, because the second one is so improved. Another thing that I like, and fuck you Crucible players, is the fact that Crucible has less importance in this game. It's almost non-existent in my opinion. There's no Vanguard points and Crucible points, none of that. That's gone. It's 4v4. The maps are smaller. Yes, I played Crucible a couple times just to see what it was all about, but there's so much less emphasis on that. It's more about PvE. It's more about the story. And if you Crucible players who just love Crucible so much from the first game and you're butthurt about it, fuck off, because your game, Crucible, was always unbalanced. From year 1, it was unbalanced. Year 2, unbalanced. Year 3, unbalanced. Half a year into year 3, unbalanced. It was always garbage. It was always crap, because all you all ever did was bitch about how one weapon was too powerful in the forums and Bungie would nerf it. Then you would bitch about some other weapon and then Bungie would nerf it. And then you'd bitch about some other weapon and then Bungie would nerf it. You bitch so much to the point where Crucible was a joke. It's always been unbalanced. You ought to find, ways to work around it. I am so happy that it went down to 4v4, and people are already complaining about that. That's not cool for it. You know what? Crucible has almost no bearing on Destiny 2 now, and I am so happy about that. You Crucible players got screwed over, and you deserve it, because you spent 3.5 years bitching, pissing, and fucking moaning about this weapon, this, and the auto rifles, that, and sidearm, that, and shotguns, that. No, fuck off, because as soon as they nerf one, they bring one back, then you bitch about that, and they bring one back, and you bitch about... You know what? I am so happy that Crucible has zero bearing on Destiny 2. You'd never ever have to play it. The weapons are shit that you get from it. The rewards are minimum. It's garbage. It has no place in this game that's became more of an MMO. And I'm so happy about that. Anyway, this has been the Gaming Roundtable. I'm talking about Destiny and some of the changes. I'm glad that I'm very happy to report that Destiny 2 it's not really been hyped this time around, and maybe it didn't sell like the first one, but I'm telling you, Destiny 2 is such a massive improvement over the first game in almost every shape, way, and form, especially when you get this whole thing with the way they did that. I love the fact, here's another thing I want to show y'all real quick before I jump off here. There's these public events that show up. Now the public events, now there's none going on right now, but the public events in the game, wait a minute, there was one right there, hold on. You can track it, and it tells you when it's going to start. Sometimes those turn into heroic events, sometimes they turn into non-heroic, they're the normal events. You get, it's another, again, huge improvement. Another thing I like about this, so now you know when you can join a public event. Another thing about the public events that are really, really cool is the fact that if you join a public event, they can turn to heroic events and you get better rewards. Sometimes you fight regular creatures and they'll shoot out a they'll drop an engram, sometimes blue, green, whatever. Sometimes you'll find like these elites that just kind of show up randomly in the game, which is really cool, and they'll drop, like if you kill them, a chest will appear and like Glimmer will shoot out and stuff. It's so neat to see some of the stuff that I think was in the original dev diaries in the first game, and that's kind of nice. And instead of just as you see the bottom, right there at the bottom, it says plus 60. As I increase my experience, now I get a bright engram. I can go to Test Eververse. You'll get legendary, you'll just get stuff. You'll get things like you might get an award. It could be guns, it could be a ship, it could be any number of things. And I like the fact that that they did this in the game. They changed. Oh, here's a captain here. So here we go. Here I gotta kill him, and that kind of sucks because I just died. But I gotta go. If I can get back there, maybe I can have him get whatever he dropped. They added, that's a new fallen species. It's called a wraith. They use a little thing. I love, like I said, I love the fact that so much of the game has been so improved. It kind of sucks 'cause I don't know how I got down there in the first place. And it's such a much more improved game, and that's what really, to me, really makes the game for me. The maps are way larger. They're more diverse. There's more verticality. That captain I just fought probably dropped a chest. That's something else that happens in the game. There's so much new stuff that's been added. It's really hard to just really tell you all like exactly everything that's been added to the game. It is. It's kind of like there's so much, you know, and it's nice to see that. And again, as I gain that level, once that maxes out, I'll get a bright engram. I'll go to Tess, Eververse, or whoever. I'll get awards. It could be a ship. It could be weapons. It could be armor. It could be any number of things. And I like that aspect of the game that they. Oh, here we go. Back where I started here. That's what I wanted to do, and get back down here. Vandals and all this stuff still in the game. The aesthetic cosmetics, by the way, the cosmetics of the enemies have changed. The models and their behavior essentially are the same, but they did change. They did change the way that the models look. A lot of the models look different when it comes to enemies. They cosmetically change them. They look a little bit more streamlined. The Hive in particular look virtually are they look the same, but they are different. There's a little bit better, more streamlining with the Fallen. As you can see here, I'm fighting these things, throwing that out there, and it's so nice because they just done a good job on the generally speaking, they've done just such a good job. Let me check out this. This is an exotic weapon I just got here recently. It even sounds totally different from most of the fusion cannons. Again, such a good job on that. Look at that, just messing them up. Man, I got them both in one fell swoop. That's devastating. I mean, even for being a low-level exotic, that's pretty awesome. I love that. And again, just a vast. Okay, so here's this guy. Okay, I'm out of. Another thing I want to add too. So let's say you fight against an enemy that has a solar shield. If you use solar against them, you actually are going to drop their shields like really fast. He has an arc shield. If I had an arc weapon, it would drop his shield so fast. I mean, it would drop his shield like almost instantly. And I love the fact that's that paper rock scissors thing. Look, so he dropped a captain. Sometimes the captains like that, they will drop chests. So, and sometimes they don't, but sometimes they just drop a lot of glimmer. It just depends, and I like the randomness of the RNG. The RNG has been so overhauled. It feels more like a random loot generator than a random number generator, because there are so many new weapons they added, from chain guns to trace. They even got trace rifles. Oh, there's the chest he dropped. See what I mean? He dropped that chest. That's why it's glowing. Boom, I got a new weapon and a warlock bond, and I like that. Those elites will drop like chests. It's so cool. So it's 209, definitely going to use that. Increase my power level. You no longer have light level. That's a pulse rifle. There's a scout rifle. Again, it's cool. They actually have these rifles, these trace rifles that shoot just a beam of energy, like a laser beam, like a phaser. They've got a large variety of new types of weapons and different things, and I love that. And it just really fleshes out the game more. Anyway, this has been episode, I believe, 55, I think. Destiny 2. just kind of talking a little bit about what the game is offering now. And I want to thank you all for joining me here at the Gaming Roundtable. Please subscribe to my channel. Please hit that like button. And as always, gamers, good gaming.